Part of how Trump is healing the world and the United States is by replacing the border wall, or fixing and finishing the border wall. Yes, there is work on it. I'll give you the progress report. But this cuts against the entire world agenda, including the United Nations is where this is going to go. Welcome to Doug in Exile. As the Trump administration, we show off his successes. If you're part of the Quad Club, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching all 4 videos today. Let's go.
Congress recently gave Chief Michael Banks $46 billion for 1,300 miles of new wall and 900 miles of buoys.
Where did that money come from? Thank you, Speaker Mike Johnson. Remember, people are going to call Speaker Mike Johnson a rhino. No, he got the big, beautiful bill done, and now we're flush with cash to build a wall.
Not only can we spend $46 billion, one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we don't get this done in time.
That means completing the project before Trump leaves office. The wall operates as a system. The roads that you see here, the lights, the cameras, it all comes together at an ops center.
You're looking at technology, manpower, infrastructure, right? You need all of them to have a complete picture and a complete enforcement model.
Sensors and radars detect movement. Cameras confirm it. Dispatchers send agents to intercept.
We're heading your way now. ETA about 4 or 5 miles.
Trump also wants the wall painted black, preventing rust, making it hotter to touch and harder to climb.
They'll make like a makeshift step by tying this around either panel and then shimmying up. So those are footholds for someone to cross.
This is the kind of workarounds that illegals were able to do on the Biden administration that just allowed them to come over. It's easy to work around this. They kept going like, walls don't stop people from getting out. No, you have to also patrol them. Infrastructure, cameras, technology. Here's a drone they're about to send up. Great drone. The chips are still being made in China, which we need to bring that manufacturing back here. About 80% of these drone parts are being made in China, and we need to get this manufacturing back. But this is an example of you just needed to swap out presidents. Come to find out, to clean up the border, you didn't need to pass another law. It did need to get funded with the big, beautiful bill, but only because Biden sold off so much of our wall parts to the highest bidder. All the money that Trump had spent on the raw metals, the Biden administration had sold off to vendors by the ton.
Drones, aerostats, and the military help.
That is their early warning. If they cross into our national defense area, then they will be detained.
And militarizing the border was another big no-no in Trump's first administration. Everyone was freaking out, going, you can't militarize the border. That's draconian, totalitarian. And then Trump militarizes Washington, D.C. also.
As DHS races to complete the wall, President Trump says he has a deal to buy back materials the Biden administration tried to auction off.
We're paying a small amount of money, as I understand it, to get it back, to get rid of the litigation. We'll take it back. We'll put it up.
In San Diego, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
Thank you for saving San Diego, one of my favorite places in the whole world. They're reporting from San Diego. That's where one of our biggest, most porous borders are. I'll get to a little more on the border. I just wanted to show you this one factoid. 88% of students said they pretended to be more progressive than they are to succeed academically or socially. 80% of students said they submitted classwork that misrepresented their real views to conform to the progressive views of the professor. I just want to say this isn't unique to just this classroom. This is also how a lot of conservatives and Christians got by in Hollywood. You do not speak about your values. You have to camouflage among the leftists because you'll be fired. What does this tell you about your college professors that are all Democrats and progressive? They're evil. That is, you can turn in good work, but if you don't lie enough to misrepresent your views, your free speech, American right, remember your kids are paying $100,000 a year to go to these stupid schools. If you don't misrepresent yourself, they will give you a bad grade. If you're at a teachers union, which are all run by liberals, you better misrepresent your values or you won't make it in leadership at the teachers union. Anything that is left leaning. If you're a fashion designer and you're in fashion, you have to act a little more progressive than conservative or you'll lose your job. Animation, comic books, name it. Anything in the arts, anything in social work, anything that was a public job. Remember, the Fed, 90% of them gave to the Biden administration, donations to them. If you work at USAID or an NGO, you work in the news media organization, you have to pretend to be a little more progressive, which means you have to act like a anti-American lunatic to keep your job or to get an A in your college course. But the universe is healing. Here's Sean Davis. Congrats to Cracker Barrel on getting the most powerful man on earth, Trump, to trash their garbage attempt at rebranding something that didn't even need to be fixed. Here's Trump's statement to Cracker Barrel, which we worked on yesterday's video. Cracker Barrel should go back to the old logo, admit a mistake based on customer response, the ultimate poll, and manage the company better than ever before. By the way, this was my advice. I'm not trying to say I'm as good as Trump, but I am saying that I think similarly to him. This is exactly what I said, what I posted 2 days ago, what Cracker Barrel should do. Just go back to the old logo. Admit a mistake, fire that woke lady and blame everything on her, and the American people would probably buy it. It would save you hundreds of millions of dollars. Anyways, Trump said the same thing. They get $1 billion worth of free publicity if they play their cards right. That is, it could be a huge media announcement of them saying we're going back to what we were. It's a very, very tricky to do, but a great opportunity. Have a major news conference today. Make Cracker Barrel a winner again. Remember, in just a short period of time, I made the United States of America the hottest country anywhere in the world. 1 year ago, it was dead. Good luck. Here's the Buc-ee's beaver. They've been going nuts on all this stuff. They showed Cracker Barrel with a picture of Sydney Sweeney would help them out versus Cracker Barrel with the failed Disney Snow White. Yes, they're going to double down on stupid. Now, here's some real good branding by Mayor Eric Adams remember that little kid, DJ Daniel, the next deputy mayor for public safety for New York. Honorary service to deputy mayor was a journey for a kid. DJ stood proudly at the swearing-in ceremony alongside his father, Theodis. Everything about this moment is awesome. Remember, the Democrats hated this kid at Trump's inauguration.
You might remember when President Trump made Daniel an honorary Secret Service agent. Well, now Mayor Adams is naming Daniel as the next deputy mayor of public safety for New York City.
Democrats hate this. This is what really bugs them.
Of deputy mayor for public safety of the city of New York, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations, DM.
Now, remember, we're all applauding. Remember, the Democrats wouldn't applaud him when Trump gave him an honorary position. Democrats, they were famous for not standing and not applauding that kid. This is what they hate. Now, on their agenda on the border, this is a document from the UN. I believe it's from back in 2001. This shows their whole agenda. Remember, they always said this isn't what they're doing. This is from the Population Division, the Department of Economic and Social Affairs at the United Nations Secretariat. Replacement migration. If you wonder why the Democrats slow walked the wall, why they opened the border up, why they tried to get 11 million immigrants in here, to jack up the census numbers, to get them to vote, to replace the American worker so that we couldn't have our own people doing roofing or picking fruit. It's replacement migration. I'm going to go down because they have. And in case you're wondering, is it just for America? No, this is a worldwide movement the UN is trying to do. It applies to France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, Russian Federation, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, Europe, and the European Union. We're going to go specifically down to page 105 that has America on it to spell out their agenda. This is their claim. In past trends, the total fertility rate in the United States dropped from 3.45 births per woman in 1950 to 1955 to 2.02 in 1970 to 75. That is for every 2 people. Remember, they said you have to have 2.5 kids for replacement because some of them passed away, before they reproduced. And my dad, by the way, he was no intellectual, but he was raised in the public. And the public said back then that the world was going to die from overpopulation. This is an old, liberal, pagan, Democrat idea that blew through culture, taught in our public schools, trickled down in the water, and everyone believed it. Everyone did, in spite of it being not true whatsoever. And what happened is, with the advent of birth control, that's really where all this started. It's back in the early 1900s. I'm not making a moral case against birth control. I'm only saying that science and that convenience that many of us practiced have unforeseen consequences of civilizational collapse. It makes me start to think, maybe the Catholics were right about at least one thing. So our population is going down, 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 right? Except for a temporary period in the 1970s and early 80s when it hovered around 1.8. The total fertility rate has continued to be around 2 children per woman. Life expectancy at birth, meanwhile, has risen from 69 in years 1950 to 75%. As a consequence of these changes, the proportion of the population aged 65 and older has risen from 8% in 1950 to 12% in 1995. And I love that my population have a lot of those 65 and older in it. Welcome to IN Exile. And the potential support ratio declined as a point of compare. Okay, so they go into the numbers. Now they're doing this scenario of how many immigrants they should immigrate into America. Now, of course, to a Democrat who hate families, hate people, they hate children, and they hate babies even more. But none do they hate more than anything than unborn babies. That's where all their policies come from, giant lies. And then their answer is never, hey, we're low on population. Have babies, get married, have children. Have babies. And if you have babies, baptize your children. They'll never say that, even though statistic after statistic shows it increases life expectancy to get married and have children and go to church. The Center for Disease Control should officially prescribe to every American, instead of pushing the food pyramid or all their whack job vaccines, they should get married, have children, and going to church and being conservative increases life expectancy. Unforeseen benefit of being a conservative married person: you have more sex. You have more satisfying sex. You have more satisfying relationships. You have lower amounts of depression. Just the Center of Disease Control should be recommending that everyone turn MAGA. They would never do that because they don't care if you live. Anyways, back to the population. It'll never occur to them when the population crashes, they'll never go have more children. They go, instead, we have to bring in more immigrants from other countries. Bring in a bunch of Somalis, where it's the highest percentage of clitoridectomies in the entire earth. The removal of the female mutilation is what they want to import. Other cultures. And they hate the American culture, which is why they scrubbed all of Cracker Barrel. Are you catching it yet? Why this is all so connected? But wait, it's connected in more ways than you think. Here's Allie Beth Stuckey. We love her. The beloved Miss Tenaple listens to her podcast every day. The largest abortion facility in the world is shutting down. The largest. Remember Trump, who I've criticized and said, hey, he's not pro-life enough. He said, hey, there's got to be a middle ground on this. I'm an abortion abolitionist, okay? Trump ended. This is directly because of Trump's work. Christian, she's addressing us. Don't let anyone tell you that fighting the culture war isn't worth it. The biggest Planned Parenthood in the country is closing. Little babies are safe. More babies are going to be born. Democrats are like, no, women's health care is compromised. It's the only health care I know of where it's a successful health care if it produces a dead body. In Houston, pro-life Christians prepare to meet the growing demand for women's health care and crisis pregnancy resources. We, the beloved Miss Tenaple and I, give money, some of what this channel makes, to a crisis pregnancy center right here in Franklin, Tennessee. So we love volunteering, helping. We love getting diapers for moms. And some of them are even very pro-choice and very liberal. And they're like, I just need some help. We go, oh, we'll help you. Little Democrat, we'll help you. Just keep your baby. We'll get you some diapers. We'll get you some aid. We can get you formula. What do you need? And we'll help. That's what crisis pregnancy centers do. And we tell them about Jesus too. But this is specifically Planned Parenthood in Houston because Democrats always put their Planned Parenthoods in the highest density Black, poor areas as they possibly could. Because if you ever read Margaret Sanger or eugenics from the early 1900s, you know their agenda. More Black babies are going to live. And that's good news. The far-reaching Trump agenda. And maybe our population will turn around if we have more Black babies. Okay, I like saving the white ones too. But I specifically called out the Black babies because Democrats claim to be for Blacks, specifically Black women. By the way, do you know females are aborted at a higher rate than males? Another statistic they don't want to deal with. They're actually terrible for women. Women, babies, Blacks, children, families, populations, the wall. But wait, more winning. This is U-Haul. This is just a weird factoid where the U-Haul measures how many people are leaving the state of California. This is a bit of a nothing burger. I just think it was kind of interesting. If you want to watch it with me, sit down, kick up your feet on the couch. Go ahead. I'll pour you a drink. What would you like? Maybe a beverage, an adult beverage.
The Golden State exodus continues. A new U-Haul report on mid-year migration trends for 2025 shows more people moving out of California than moving in for a fifth year in a row. The state had the highest net migration with over 15,000 residents moving out. The top cities residents are moving to places that include Austin, Dallas, Denver, Houston, and Las Vegas.
Well, I'm happy Franklin, Tennessee did not make that list. We're a little safer, even though I'm from California. I'm one of those California people that are helping ruin this state. But you know what? A net migration, people don't understand how big California is, guys. To my California conservatives, stay there. We're going to work from within. Remember, conservatives in California, you're like cancer to the liberal body. You're going to kill that liberal body with your conservative cancer. You're our spies within the state. You want your people working within institutions. I worked within Hollywood. I was on the front lines, in the arts, in the fine arts. I loved being there. It was my mission. There's more conservatives in California, did you know this, than any other population in the States? Not by percentage, but by sheer number of people. There's tons of conservatives in California. I found conservative people all over the place. There was a low percentage of them, but you find each other and you meet in your groups and you have Bible studies and reading groups and you talk about the Constitution and your patriots. You'll just never win an election until big changes happen there. But just to put it in perspective, 15,000 people leaving California is nothing. They're going 15,000 people are leaving California. That's the highest rate in America. It's nothing. California has 39 million people in their population. 15,000 is nothing. They're barely smaller than the entire country of Canada has 41 million people in the entire country of Canada and Ukraine. California having 39 million people. That's about the population of Spain, losing 15,000 people to a different state. Sorry, people. We got to put these numbers in perspective. It's not a real big deal, the amount of people leaving California. It's not going to hurt them yet. Now, the fact that they're probably wealthier people and able to leave, and they're not a bunch of poor immigrants leaving California, so they are replacing a higher paid tax base, because if you're rich and you're in California, you're going to have a hard time. You're paying like 50% taxes, and they're going to get replaced with poor, homeless druggies, illegal immigrants. So that's kind of where it's at. I'm sorry to go on. We learned a little bit about population today, didn't we? But the good news is the money from the big, beautiful bill is building the wall. You're not going to recognize this country in 4 years in a good way. Crime's going to be down. Biggest thing about shoring up the border is we will once again be a country of laws. We will no longer look over there and say, it's okay to break the law. We're going to secure the law, the Constitution, and the truth. It's better for everyone. In the end, it's better even for the illegals who have to come here and live as like legal slaves in this country, which is not right. They should go back to their own country and vote. Just like with Californians, go back to your own state and just vote. Get involved in politics. You don't have to leave your country, just like the illegals in Mexico leave their country to come here. Go fix your country. I'm Doug, in exile.